Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
Happy Monday. We're going to get into, really headlines. We got the Final Four all set, and I have to throw out a big win for my Mariners last night. Finally, something good, something positive happening with my Mariners, but we will get into some baseball, some headlines. We've got comedian. It's Make You Laugh Monday, so we'll have Tyson Hayes coming in at 8 o'clock. He is bringing in another comedian, David May. And then we'll get into some NBA, NCAA, maybe some ref talk with our boy Snacks at 8:30. And we have a family 4-pack of Condors tickets to this Wednesday night's $2 Wiener Wednesday. If you'd like to win, you can call or text in anytime at 661-842-2000.
And those tickets are brought to you by Affordable Dentures and Implants. That's what we do. We got to talk about a lot of things in the world of sports, though. A ton happened on Friday after the show went out. Tiger getting busted for a DUI again. We'll get in on that. Trinidad Chambliss looks like he is good to go for the 2026 season with the Ole Miss Rebels. So that's a good thing if you're an Ole Miss fan.
And the 49ers have actually done their own research.
Finally.
They've got some scientists, some info coming out of San Francisco. Is it really the power plant causing all these injuries?
We'll get into that. Not be surprised, man. Again, there's a lot of scientific stuff we don't know what really goes on. And really was the big tell for me was the information that was given to us by George Kittle about the trees. Half the trees are dead year round. It's California. You don't see that as a problem. You don't see that as an issue, huh? No, every tree does that. Half of it's green as the ground underneath us. The other half is dead like it's supposed to be in a cemetery.
Stranger Things, huh?
God,
that's what it sounds like. Straight episode of
really
Stranger Things.
It's like that power plant's the what's it, upside down? Is that the name of it? I don't get it, but I'm glad.
I just picture, like the half of the city with all the black.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
We've got some news out of Frisco. We'll let you know.
It's Frisco, so God only knows. But let's start with the NCAA. You had a fantastic Elite Eight over the weekend. I apologize if my coverage is a little bit lackluster this week. I did not get to watch a whole ton of it. There was some serious news that happened over the weekend. I won't get into it. I don't want to bore you guys with it. It's something more personal anyway. So, but your Final Four, Michigan, UConn, Illinois, and Arizona. Michigan and Arizona look like the two best teams in this entire tournament, and they're going to have to fight each other in order for that final spot anyway. I love seeing Coach Hurley, though, pull off two absolute dogfights. First one against Michigan State, I believe on Friday, where it went down to the final possession as well, 1-3. But yesterday, a literally final second shot with 0.3 left by a freshman from the logo. It doesn't get much better than that in March Madness, man. It really doesn't. I feel for the Boozer twins. I really do. They had a fantastic game, but you had a 19-point lead in this game, and you let it up. And I have to highlight once again, this goes back to what we talked about last week when we were bringing up the matchup between Coach Izzo and Coach Hurley. At this point during the tournament, it really boils down to who's got the most experience and who's got the better coaching. Duke lost in both of those categories. They had a easy lead. This looked like it was going to be another blowout from the Elite Eight. But Coach Hurley figured it out. He found the defense that was, that would disrupt the Duke Blue Devils offense. It made it a hell of a second half for guys like Cameron Boozer. His brother did actually pretty well in terms of ball handling. But that last play, the inbounds play by Duke, trying to find an open man, and the Huskies just covered everything like white on rice. It was a beautiful way to end it. I loved the way that it was just, that was best way to end the Elite Eight. Let's just leave it that way. Because with the way the other games went, it was really starting to look like, well, the chalk is the chalk. It really is what it's going to become. The best teams in this tournament are the ones that are going to be winning this tournament. I think the NCAA wants it that way, if I'm being honest, but we don't have to get into that. But with these last four set up, Michigan, UConn, Illinois, Arizona, I'm really excited to see what ends up being our final. I think Illinois is a great story as well as a 3 seed, figuring it out defensively to not only upset the Houston Cougars, but to make Iowa look like they didn't belong at all. And who knows, maybe Iowa didn't. Maybe the Cinderella stories always just tend to fade out in the Elite Eight, and then we actually see who really are the ones that should be going after this championship. But
I mean, just looking at the bracket this year, I mean, I think it's really the matchups, how they lined up and how it really worked out. We got 2 number ones, a 2 and a 3 with the Final Four. I mean, they're all tough teams. I would double that. I like the Illinois story.
Yep.
I'm not a big UConn fan, so I think it's going to be a hell of a matchup either way. I personally have Michigan taking it.
Mm-hmm.
But it could happen. Any of these 4 teams could pull it off. I think this is what we want for entertainment and basketball.
And to be fair, this is probably the longest in a couple of years that my bracket has not been busted until the Elite Eight. So I was completely okay with most of my teams going down in the Sweet 16. But realistically looking at it, these are the 4 teams that deserve to be here. When we really started talking about this tournament, these were 4 teams that everybody had their eye on to make a deep run. Arizona is still probably the most offensively sound team in this entire tournament. I mean, dropping 109 on Calipari in the Sweet 16 was impressive in itself. But they just look like their ceiling is much higher than everybody else's. Their depth is much higher. And the internet needs to take a step back on the Bryce James stuff, though, because I'd like... Everything I've seen on the internet over the weekend has said, oh, Bryce James leads the Wildcats to a championship or to a Final Four. Bryce James hasn't seen the court. Like, can we just stop it? Like, just stop it. This team in general is impressive from top to bottom. Let's give everybody else the credit. Bryce will have his chance. But at this point right now, it's going to come down to, I know you have Michigan going down. I got Arizona going down as the national champion. And I'm going to ride with Arizona just because of what I've seen from them. But that number 1 seed clash here on Saturday is going to be the marquee matchup of this entire tournament. I know we just got the best game of the tournament, arguably, with UConn and Duke. But I think this game is going to beat that one.
I hope so. And I mean, only crappy part is we have to wait until Saturday.
Yeah, that was the thing that everyone kept asking me. Is like, why do we have to wait a whole week? It's a valid question. But the NCAA, for some reason, just enjoys their championship games on Mondays. I could not tell you exactly what the valid reasoning is for having the championships on Mondays, but they just really love their championships on Mondays. Plus, the women's tournament is going right now. They'll be locking in their Final Four, I believe, tonight. If I'm not mistaken, their final games go. And again, like we told you guys last week, just hand the dang trophy over to UConn already. Just hand it to them. We all know who's going to win that side of the bracket. It's the UConn Huskies. It has been the UConn Huskies for God knows how long. Let's just hand it to them. Let's just give it over. And then at some point, Gino's going to retire, and we're all going to sit there and say, finally, who's going to get the next one? Who's going to be the one to pass the torch?
I got to watch the UCLA Bruins beat Duke yesterday.
How was that one? I hear that game was actually very good.
It was really good.
I didn't get to check that one out at all. So what did you see from that one?
A lot of shooting and a lot of layups.
Well, I mean, that is kind of
UCLA is tough, man.
That's the transition of the game on the women's side, though, is that we're seeing a lot of the movement towards the 3-point line, much like the men's game. But I think they're smarter about it. They know that they have to pass the ball around and actually have solid fundamental basketball in order to find these shots open. Whereas the boys, we get the half-court logo shots that go in. And granted, for Coach Hurley, that's the best possible situation. But let's be honest, as a coach, you're probably not hoping and praying your freshman just takes a shot from the logo and hopes and prays that sucker goes down.
That wasn't planned.
No.
But no, I mean, if you're old school like me and you enjoy basketball, you would love the women's March Madness because it is fundamental basketball.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think there is a fan that is still clamoring for that. I just wish we can get it to be a little more exciting on the women's side. Because again, I understand that fundamental basketball is needed, but there really is a bore to it. There
It
really
is.
is just kind of a, a slugfest, literally. Not in terms of punches, but in terms of two slugs literally trying to race each other. It really
Come
can
on,
get
Turbo.
boring. Exactly. I mean, we had two on the wall of Kern the other day. We were playing. You were putting bets down to see who was going to get to the top of the wall fastest. That's essentially what you're getting with the women's game.
It is true.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, there is a fan that is clamoring for that, so maybe it's good for that. And honestly,
I was just trying to watch because I was like, "Is this UConn? Where's UConn?"
Well, no,
UConn's not playing, so I was like, "Let's see what team can pull it out." Because I want an underdog to pull out a win over UConn. I don't think it'll happen,
but I mean,
hey,
we would love to see it because I mean, it's March Madness,
and I could say I watched a little bit of it.
I'm still saying, just grab that trophy, just walk it on over to the Huskies. Say, Gino, here you go, brother. I think this is number 25 for you in the Final Four. I can't even remember. It's a stupid number. So it's just like, just hand it over. And then eventually when he sits there and says, all right, I'm bored with this. I need to focus on my family. I need to do my thing. And then we finally get to pass the torch to hopefully the USC Trojans. But we get to pass the torch to whomever is next. And hopefully that means a new resurgence of fan base as well. Because there's a ton to get excited about on the women's side as well. Because especially with the CBA, the WNBA getting figured out, and we don't have to worry about that for the next couple of years. They're going to be expanding. I know a lot of grief gets thrown towards women's basketball, but I'm telling you right now, they're going to have a surge here in the next couple of years. It really is going to gain a lot of popularity with women like Caitlin, Juju Watkins coming in, Paige Bucher's fantastic, even Angel.
Yeah, I was
Angel.
Say, come on now, Angel.
Angel has the star power at least to pull people over to make, to have them want to watch her play basketball.
All she's got to do is practice on her.
She really does.
Her short shot.
All you got to do is get a jumper, hun, and we're all going to just shut up. I promise you, if you just figure out how to get a jumper like Anthony Davis, we will all shut up. We really will. But the constant missing of layups just makes it way too easy. And the me bounds, like, you know what you were doing with that. You know what you were doing with that. It's smart of you to put down the copyright. Don't get me wrong. Very smart.
Genius.
But you know what you were doing with that. So it is what it is. And actually, before we shift out of basketball, the other story that I saw on Friday that I wanted to bounce off you was the Connecticut Sun of the WNBA will actually be moving to Houston. They'll be moving the team out of Connecticut. Says that the fan base just isn't there or as much as they would want it to. And a place like Houston, obviously bustling with teams like the Rockets and many, many others, could be a good move for the WNBA. I know that they're already angry with some of the teams, or I'm sorry, with some of the expansion teams coming in with places like Cleveland and, oh Lord, what was the other one, my friend? I know Portland starts this year, but there was another one that was announced with Cleveland, and I am drawing a blank on where it is. Regardless, they're happy to see, though, that this team is moving to at least a city or a location that they were clamoring for was Houston, and it's just a bigger market.
Yeah.
Is a much bigger market, which means more money is going to be coming in, and that's a positive for women's basketball as well. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and before we get away and take our first break, I mean, aside from, I know you're going with Arizona, I'm going with Michigan,
Yes.
but say neither of those teams were actually in, and you had to pick one of the other two, UConn. Yeah.
Always go with the coaching. Always go with Coach Early, who has won multiple championships. And to be honest with you, pulling off two absolute dogfights against Michigan State and then against Duke.
Yeah, they're hungry.
Two of the biggest programs in the country. It's hard really to say that UConn doesn't have what it takes to really continue this, take out an Illinois team who's playing out of their minds defensively, if I'm being honest, and take out either one of these one seeds, Michigan or Arizona. I think Arizona will be the tougher opponent for them just because of the offensive potential that they have. But either way, I think Coach Hurley's got a really good shot to pull this off. And I know you're not a big fan of the UConn Huskies, my friend,
UConn.
but
my friend Michelle took them, and she took them early.
Yeah.
She was saying it before the brackets, and now she's kicking our butt in our brackets.
Well,
so
if we listen to Bolt, technically that was one of the teams he highlighted as well. The great guards, the great coaching, and it's all showing right here, especially late in this tournament, That really is what determines these games.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Duke game itself. The last second turnover at the end there was the exact reason that they lost the game.
And they got lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll talk to Bolt on Thursday. I'm looking at the favors right now. The numbers are point and point and a half, so it's all close for the two games.
I didn't think they were going to be that distant from
yeah,
each other.
and I wonder if it's going to change before Thursday, so I'm going to keep an eye on that.
Cycling back, though, to the Cinderellas, because that is one of the best parts of this tournament. Let's say Iowa would have pulled it off, or maybe a Texas and snuck into the Final Four. Do you think either of those teams would have had a shot to make something happen here? I personally don't, but it would have been a really nice story.
It'd been a hell of a story, but I mean, I'll give it to Illinois. I'll give it to UConn. I wasn't expecting either one of those, but and the same thing with Duke. I mean, we talked about Duke. If they were going to have the power to get through some of these teams that are playing hot and playing good basketball, and it seemed like we've seen it multiple times throughout the bracket, throughout the tournament, that Duke would get like in joyriding mode.
They maybe had 2 or 3 good halves of basketball in this entire tournament.
I lost faith with them after the St. Mary's game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Or St.
This
John's.
is not, this is not a national championship team.
And honestly, they should have lost that game, if I'm being honest.
Right.
They really should have, but there were certain things that happened throughout the game that kind of just led their way. But you're right. I mean, when you really looked at the 1 seeds this year, there were 2 that really dominated the entire time, and there are 2 that really showed us that maybe they weren't the team that we all thought they were. But I have to highlight, does that kind of go hand in hand with Duke's just love of freshmen? Or I shouldn't say love of freshmen, but
just young talent.
Yeah, their influx of young talent that usually doesn't stay there long term. We talked about it before the tournament started. There are teams that are looking for guys like a Dan Hurley, like a Mike, or like a Tom Izzo, like these guys that want to stay there long term and keep players there long term, or at least convince them to stay past their freshman year, so they don't have these quick turnarounds and these teams that don't have the experience for late in the tournament. Because that really does factor in when you are playing some of these top-notch programs who have half of their team that have been to a championship game. So do you think that Duke needs to make some sort of pivot here and focus more on keeping those young, talented players there long-term rather than really just being known as the one-and-done college? Because that's really what they are.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are teams like Kentucky that could really get the same, title here. So do you think teams really need to focus more on convincing these players to stay at least for 2 years?
You would expect they would, with the amount of money that this NIL and it brings. And
because imagine if Cooper Flagg was still on this team.
Yeah.
Imagine if they could convince both Boozer twins to stay an extra year. You don't think Duke would come back next year and be just an absolute giant?
Yeah, the powerhouse.
Right. That's what I'm thinking in my head. It's like, if you can start convincing these kids to stay, Duke could easily win a championship in 2 or 3 years. Easily. But again, it starts really with them and their program and convincing these kids to stop leaving so early.
Yeah, and Duke is one of those schools that, they attract good players. And with the coaching and with the staff over there, I would expect Duke to stay in the mix, but I'm happy, dude.
I am too. Don't get me wrong.
Fan, so I was happy when they lost.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I want Duke to win a championship next year, but I'm just saying, with the talent that they have had go through that school without being able to keep them long term, like,
they're missing out.
They are. They're missing out on a ton of talent and a ton of money. Realistically, like, think about it. They really are. They're missing out on a ton. And if Duke had a team that had a little bit more experience in the tournament, they might have been able to hold on to that 19-point lead last night and walk in to a Final Four that would have had 3 first seeds. I'm just saying, like, it really is looking like that type of situation that schools really need to sit down with their coaches and say, we need to start talking these kids into staying more than a year.
Yeah. A long-term plan type deal.
Right.
I don't know. I think it should. I mean, can you imagine if Flagg was playing, you think they would still still be playing right now.
I mean, you can go back further than that. Zion. What if Zion would have stayed a couple more years? Would he look different in the NBA today? Kyrie, if they would have kept Kyrie 1 or 2 years, how many championships they could have won then? I mean, it just always is a head scratcher to me when I see Duke pull in these generational talents at in basketball, and we only see them for a year, maybe two, and then they're off to the NBA. And rightfully so, they're talented enough. I'm not saying they're not talented enough. Obviously, a lot of these kids are the first overall pick. But if you were able to keep them there and develop them as a player, imagine what we could be seeing from Zion right now if he stayed with Coach K for 2 years, 3 years. You know what I mean? Like the difference that could make, and for their program as a whole. I'm just, again, it's just something that popped into my head last night while I was watching these games. Feel free to text in 661-842-2000. Let us know what you guys think. Should Duke start really just telling these kids, you got to stay for 2 years minimum, at least build a program with us, help us, help us help you in some way, make you an even better basketball player. What are your guys' thoughts? 661-842-2000. We'll take a break. We'll get into some of these other stories. Tiger Woods' DUI from Friday. The NBA has proposed, or at least has presented, 3 comprehensive anti-tanking proposals that we'll talk about as well. Plus, we had somebody on TikTok reach out to us and ask if we could cover the state of rugby right now. So I have a little bit on that, and we'll get to that at some point in the show. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101 FM, 12 AM. Run down some stories from over the weekend. Real quick before we get to other things and our guest of the day is guys Major Laugh Mondays will be joining us at 8 o'clock and then snacks at 8:30. Talk about the NBA's 3 proposals to combat tanking. And actually, they're not bad. They really aren't. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks now, what needs to be done, or at least what we think could help. I still think Sparky's idea of a tournament for the number 1 overall pick is the best idea that we've really come up with.
I know Mark Cuban came out with some ideas as well. We'll get into that.
Yes, absolutely.
But what's the big story? Is what, Tiger?
Tiger. It's Tiger, man. Look, we all know this happened on Friday. You guys have probably heard this ad nauseum. We're not going to take a whole ton of time on this. But yes, Tiger got in trouble again on Friday for a DUI, and it wasn't alcohol. It was not alcohol. I have to stress that. It was not an alcohol-related DUI. He blew zeros across the board. What it is the amounts of medical aids or pills, as the layman's man likes to call them, that he is on from all of these surgeries, the back problems, the leg, knee problems. I mean, you name it, this man's got it. And it all really cycles around the same thing I've said many times over when it comes to these athletes. Hire a freaking driver. And no, not the thing you pull out on the first shot. Hire your friends, hire your son's friend, hire anybody. Hire somebody to drive you around. Simplest action you can do. And somebody like Tiger does not have an excuse not to do this. The amount of money that you make, there's no way you cannot afford to hire a driver. There's no way.
You're Tiger freaking Woods.
Exactly. The money you're making on endorsements alone will pay for this man's salary. Hire someone. Hire anyone. But I never want to see Tiger behind the wheel of a car or even a golf cart for the rest of his life. No more. You're far too famous, you're far too wealthy, you're far too much everything, and you're far too intelligent,
far too medicated
to be doing this. It's ridiculous. But if you don't know the details, let me
So
break
what really
it down
happened?
real quick.
Was it in Florida?
It was in Florida.
Of course.
He was driving, I'm not sure where, but he's going up one street. There's a truck coming up the other side of the street. The two got very close together, causing a massive turn, flipping his car over, or at least putting it on its side for sure. I'm not sure if the truck also flipped, but the truck had to make a very serious pivot here in order to just evade Mr. Woods. He crawled out of his passenger window, from what the cops say. The cops walked up to him and said, "We have to do a field sobriety test, sir." He said, "Okay, fine." Passed it. Like I said, blew zeros across the board. So they said, "Okay, well, now we have to take a urinary test." And Tiger said, that ain't happening. So they slapped him with a DUI. I cannot stress this enough. After 2021, we all thought you were going to die, dude. We all thought that we were going to be talking about that story in a completely different light, and nobody wants to talk about that when it comes to Tiger.
No.
So hire a freaking driver. Please, Mr. Woods, please. I know you're not listening. I know you're not.
I was on the air and saw the headline. I was
Come
like,
on.
dude.
I mean, again, I cannot stress this enough. Just know that your medications are too much. And I get it. You don't want to have to rely on somebody. I understand. But come on, man. For your safety, for everyone's safety, for your health, just hire someone. Take one of Charlie's friends, drop $50K a year and say, "You're going to drive me around whenever I need you to." Boom, problem solved.
I'd do it.
Hell yes. But again, it's Tiger Woods, so he's probably not going to.
Of course not. And of course, congratulations to the internet for running with all these crazy ass memes, because
he's going to be getting it for the rest of his life, man. Like between
Saturday Night
this,
Live,
like
everybody
I said,
had it.
the 2021 crash where he flipped the car over. I mean, shoot, when his wife ran at him with a 4-iron, 5-iron, and was slugging at the windshield after he got caught cheating. Like, Tiger, stop it. Stay away from cars. Stay away from golf carts, too. I don't want to see you out there in Jupiter, whatever, on a golf cart. No way. I don't trust that either. In other news in Florida, Florida's Attorney General is calling for the destruction of the Rooney Rule in the NFL. Did you see this?
Yes.
I cannot stress enough how stupid this is.
I even heard from Rooney, was it the grandson of the original Art Rooney? But yeah, it is getting even crazier. And he said it's a different time. We don't need it as much.
James Altmaier, the Florida Attorney General, has sent a letter to the NFL claiming that the Rooney Rule is quote unquote blatant race and sex discrimination, and that hiring decisions should be based on merit alone. Somebody doesn't know the statistics of the coaching realm in the NFL, do they? We talked about this, how little there are African-American coaches in the NFL, how little teams will even interview an African-American or somebody of minority descent for a head coaching job. But no, we don't need it anymore. It should be based on merits. It should be based on merits.
I mean, at the end of the day, it should. But if it was, I mean, if somebody was actually taking that advice,
if we could trust,
we would have more percent. Exactly.
If we could trust
but
that,
we can't.
Absolutely. But no,
we wouldn't have these low numbers if it was hiring with the, by resume.
And again, another situation where I have to sit there and say, unless asked for, politics, can you stay away from sports, please?
Please.
Unless we ask you to come in and help, like the NCAA situation, we definitely need somebody to step in and help create rules and guidelines for the NCAA stuff. But unless we ask you to, shh. We don't need the Attorney General from Florida giving his opinions on the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule ain't going nowhere. It don't need to go anywhere. And to be honest with you, it shouldn't go anywhere. Because if we can't trust these guys to get interviewed, we have to have some sort of guideline to make sure they get interviewed. Can you imagine a world where Mike Tomlin never got the shot in Pittsburgh? Some of you Steeler fans are sitting there saying, oh God, that's true. Yeah, that could have been a thing. Come on. Just, unless asked for, let's stay away from football and sports in general. Let's just stay away. It's not smart. And then from sad news here, since we do cover the Raiders as their affiliate, we did need to mention this as well. Legendary Raiders center Barrett Robbins died last week, late, I believe on Friday, at the age of 52. That is awful. I mean, I obviously didn't get to watch a whole ton of his career, but from what I have been told by a lot of Raider fans, especially over the weekend, a cornerstone of the Raiders offensive line during those years, and somebody that really just encapsulated the Raider faithful, as a lot of these long-term Raiders do. Another guy, much like a Max Crosby, who, when you think of the Raiders, his name would pop up somewhere along the line. It's a sad thing to see, but yes, Mr. Barrett Robbins, former center for the Raiders, has passed away, and his family has announced on X that they appreciate all the love and all of the respect and whatnot that's coming towards them, but they just want some privacy for their family at this time.
Which we can understand. Just like the Vikings legend Joey Browner passed away late last week, 6-time Pro Bowler, and if you are a Vikings fan, you know exactly who I'm talking about. I remember Joey Browner on my Tecmo Bowl game. I used to actually pick him on my defense, but it was a sad weekend, man.
And it really was. There's a lot of passings this weekend, and you hate to see it. These things happen. Obviously, life is short, and that's what makes it so beautiful. But when these things happen, just celebrate them. Celebrate everybody as much as you can. and let's just remember the good things that happened rather than highlight some of the others. So let's take a break. We'll get into some of this other stuff. Like I said, somebody on TikTok reached out to us and asked us to break down what we think about the current state of the game of rugby across the world, which it is in flux from what I understand. Now, I don't follow professional rugby that well, but so I will do my best here in my due diligence of, explaining to you guys what's going on. But it does seem like the state of rugby right now is in flux, and they are in a massive, massive reform era, if you want to call it that. So we'll talk about that and much more on the other side of the break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 a.m. About 10 minutes, so we take one final break. Talk to our guys at Major Laugh Mondays on the other side. I was just in their neck of the woods on Friday night. And then also we'll be talking to our guys Snacks at 8:30 about these three proposed changes that the NCAA is throwing out there to see if we can combat this tanking issue and hopefully fix it altogether. But we'll see.
And a big shout out to the Pitzer family over at Dionysus Brewing. We went out Saturday for their 10-year anniversary, and it was from 12 to 9. I don't think that family stopped moving
Does not surprise
from
me.
11:45 to 9:30 because it was packed. They had great food, great vendors out there. It was, I for a Saturday, I was like, it's going to be hot. Let me see. So I took my son around lunchtime to get a slice of pizza and say what's up.
And I hear you ran into Kenny Calvin as well.
Oh yeah, big old Kenny Calvin. He was sporting his, I think it was a Kobe jersey, but
Nice.
my son, he was, because there was some music playing. They had a DJ out there, and then there was another local band. Beware of something. They killed it. I mean, it was a cool turnout, and it couldn't have happened to a better family because Kyle and his wife and his kids, man, they put in a ton of work. And like we always say, shop local. I mean, just a big shout out. 10 years, that's a huge feat for a local brewing company.
Oh, yeah.
And, everybody
and
came out.
especially where they are, like where they're located, it's not exactly ideal,
Yeah.
but he makes the most of it and honestly uses every inch of room he can.
It was the first time I saw the beer garden open.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't even know they had that.
Yeah.
Usually it's fenced off and behind a food truck, but it was packed.
Yeah, and I have to apologize to Kyle. I was not able to make it out this weekend due to some crazy news that I got.
At 7:30, he came by and he was like, I'm ready for a nap.
I do not blame him,
I'm
man.
so
I hope
tired.
everything went so well for you guys, and I'm glad to hear that it was packed out. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. And how was your birthday weekend? Did we do anything
It was
fun?
all right. I did a lot of cleaning. Of course, being an adult, it kind of sucks sometimes, but I
How's
came
it
home
feel being 27 now?
Yeah, it feels better, I guess. I got home Friday and our bathroom faucet had busted off the wall and there was water flooding in my bathroom. So that's what I did for my birthday. So Saturday when it came around, I was like,
that happened.
I don't know. I immediately told the family, somebody's pulling on this faucet, it just doesn't fall out of the wall.
That's the part of home ownership that they don't tell you about, is all the stuff that goes wrong and how expensive all of that.
Well, I'm 2 for 2 this year. We've already had some trees fall on our house.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then this damn faucet. But luckily my dad's a plumber, came by and it wasn't too drastic. So it was a quick fix. But talking about this, we've been talking about this story for a while. But the 49ers and the wild theory that, people are getting injured because of this power plant that's close to the practice facility in the stadium.
It's about as logical as anything else that's happening.
Exactly. So the 49ers have actually investigated the wild theory, and words from GM John Lynch was, it's just a big nothing burger. It's nothing.
Shenanigans.
So they've tested everything. They tested the water. They tested the soil.
Look at the trees.
They tested everything, and they couldn't find anything.
I look, man, I want to know who you asked to do these surveys. Who is it that actually did any of this? Or are you just saying you just sent people out there to look at it? Because it's different from sending, a team intern than an actual doctor or somebody a scientist, somebody has some credibility in this area. So who'd you send?
My question is it really... Is it that? Because I mean, if you're proving it's not the power plant, it's not some crazy science. What is it? Is it the conditioning? Is it the practice? Is it, what do they have to do? Because it's not just 1 year. It's not just 2 years. Right. This has been multiple years in a row where the 49ers are dealing with major injuries.
Or did you just anger the football gods by moving out of Candlestick?
It could be that.
That's a possibility. Now that I'm thinking about it, we talked about the football gods when it came to the Raiders and how angry they can become. Maybe this is just retribution for leaving Candlestick Park. I don't know. If it's not the power plant, you got to explain it to me. because I'm with you, Spark. Like, it's one thing for a football team to have the injury bug for a year or two. This has been extensive. It seems like every single year they are just riddled with injuries. So unless it's just the style of player that they're looking at, or maybe you're right, maybe it's the style of practice they're doing and something different that other teams don't do, or maybe something that they need to be doing that other teams do. I don't know, but the power plant was the most logical thing to me, and
Yeah.
obviously that's not even logical. So I really can't
Wild.
tell you. It really is. It's wild.
And the NFL looks like they're moving forward with these backup refs because
They
they
have to.
say they are not even close.
Yeah, they have to. At this point, if you're not close on a CBA with the referees, you need a backup plan. And it's smart to have the backup plan. I'm not criticizing them for having that.
We're a little over a month before it all expires. So
I'm more criticizing we couldn't have had a deal with the NCAA where we get the D1s and then the D2s go up to D1 and the D3s go up to D2. And, you see the ladder that happens here. But
do you think that inches us closer to the robots?
Yes. Honestly, yeah. It really is going to depend how long this CBA deal is going to be with these referees is going to be the deciding factor for me. Because I would assume in this CBA, they're going to have some sort of protection from that. Especially now seeing what's happening in baseball. Because if you were watching baseball over the weekend, there were a ton of ABS calls that were on the player's side, making umpires look stupid. There were 2 back-to-back in the Reds game the other day that were way off. If you don't think that umpire looks like an idiot right now,
yeah, they're not happy about it.
Nah, they are not. It's exactly what Richie Garcia was talking about. This is going to embarrass the umpires. Rightfully so. You guys suck. Clearly. You guys are awful. This is why we needed this. I'm sorry. It's what it is. Am I wrong?
I mean, it's there to clean it up.
Exactly.
And I mean, I wouldn't take it personal. I mean, but
this is just the proof, brother. I'm sorry.
I mean, we heard it from players last week on opening week. We heard from players that are pushing it because they think they've never struck out on looks.
Right.
And pitchers think they always strike out on looks. So
and some of them
it's got to be a middle ground.
Yeah, and some of them are wrong.
But yes, you were 100% right.
But most of the time when the umpire's the one making the call, you're dumb. I'm sorry.
There's
and
a reason
get it.
that they're.
I understand that MLB catchers are really good at framing pitches, and they make it really difficult for these umpires. It's very good. But let's be honest, you still suck at your job. So we need some sort of a spell check, if you will, just to make sure that our games go the way they're supposed to. And so far they have. I need to actually look up the numbers of how
they're high.
This is happening.
They're high. They're
right
good.
Now they have been high. They have been very high. But
it's like this thing I was going to ask you. I mean, there's a lot of players that are coming out cold, and there's 158, 159 games left, but a lot of teams. I mean, what was it? The Met guy that was getting booed at home yesterday, and I was like, even me as a Cal fan, he's coming out cold. So what? It's 3 or 4 games, and they're ready to give up on this guy. If you're on social media, they're like 0-4, 0-5. But
yeah, I'm also going to look have a deeper dive into this WBC Team USA curse, by the way, because I'm going to look at everybody's first 4 or 5 games and see how this is going to look. Because if it does look that way, that's going to be rough. That's going to be rough for future WBC teams. It really is. Because now teams are going to sit there and say, we let our star player, go and play for you last time, and he came back playing like absolute arse in the first 2-3 weeks of the season. No way we let that happen again.
I know we don't have time for it, but since you brought it up, what do you think about the idea of that moving up in the middle of the baseball schedule?
I don't like it in the middle of the season just because it's kind of like the Olympics with hockey. You're taking away from the league itself, and that does suck. But if we could figure out a way to make this happen maybe right after the World Series.
While they're still hot?
Yes, they're still playing? While they're still playing. Maybe we can make this work a little bit better. Putting it right in the middle of the season, though, is a bad idea, but just in my opinion, because the MLB as a whole is not really pulling in the fan base or the eyes enough to keep people interested. And all non-traditional baseball fans would see this as is, oh God, you're making the season longer.
Yeah, and they were talking about even it replacing the All-Star game.
Right. Which actually might not be the worst idea. It really might not. It actually might make the All-Star weekend a little more entertaining, but that's a lot of baseball to play in a week. It really is. So I don't know. You're going to have to make this. You're going to have to find a way to structure this where fans are going to be okay. And maybe it comes with shaving a couple games off. Who knows? But we got to take a break. Our guys from Made You Laugh Monday are on the other side. Then snacks at 8:30 as well. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. We'll be right back in about 5 minutes. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. Yours are going to be a little tricky because they're older.
I like them old.
Oh, Lord.
Oh my goodness.
Tyson is here for Made You Laugh Mondays.
Yes, sir. Happy to be back, guys.
Good to
nice
see
seeing
you.
you this Monday morning.
We missed you last week.
I know. Yeah, work got in the way. I'm doing every other weekend, and I volunteered to come in no pay last week, and it just didn't work out. So unfortunately, I had to let Trevor
No
step in. You know.
pay?
Yeah, I just
Look
kind
at
of
you.
agreed to come in.
That's a
here.
company, man.
There we go.
Introduce who you brought with you this week.
Yes, this is a good friend here. This gentleman and I've been doing comedy about the same amount of time. You
Really?
know, but he's he's done a lot more than me in comedy, and he's a much more funny. So give it to him. But this is David May here. Nice to have you here this morning, David.
Thanks, everybody. I've been doing it a lot less time than Tyson.
Really?
Yeah.
He's humble.
What got you started?
In comedy?
Yes.
Love of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like fun. Always been into comedy, so decided to give it a shot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just open mic, just walked up there one day and said, I'm going to just take a shot at this.
2023 New Year's resolution.
Ah,
That's still going.
okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. That one was me. I apologize. Who was the inspiration? What comedians really got you going to say, I want to try this?
Trevor Noah.
Oh, okay. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
He's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just the Daily Show in general, or just
Trevor Noah.
Just Trevor.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's one of the biggest followers.
Okay. Do you kind of structure your comedy kind of like he does too, then, or is it more?
Yeah, I try to make it as unfunny as possible.
So very dry, very just
Yeah.
okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where have you or what shows have you been a part of, and how can people locally see you?
I mean, locally, there's always something coming around for like a showcase and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So anything related to the well, you might see me there.
Mhm.
I know they're bringing back the $5 funnies.
Yes,
I believe
Yeah.
this Friday.
this
Friday.
Friday we have a $5 funnies. I am on that one. So
Right
you'll
on.
see me
Yep.
there. We have a show that is in the talks of coming back that I was a host of. Me and my host Nathaniel Webb. It was the
Nice.
weekday show.
Mhm.
So that should be coming down the pipeline soon. So just keep your eye out. I'm around.
Okay.
It's a little different show, though. It's a fun show.
I was just about to
it's-
ask that. What's different about the
Let's
weekday
hear it,
show?
David.
The weekday show, I built a companion web app with it, so the audience can live vote on whoever's on stage. So as the comedians are performing, the crowd is voting them up or down,
Mhm.
and then based off how well they do, various things may happen.
Okay.
Some of them involving weapons, some of them involving applause, stuff like that.
So you're saying we could potentially be throwing some produce at some of these comedians, like the old school
Absolutely.
days.
Yeah.
Sweet.
If you pay for premium.
Ah, okay.
Of course.
What got that idea going?
We had an opportunity to have our own mic, wanted to make it, something a little bit more unique.
Yeah.
And wanted a way for the audience with their TikTok brains to feel more involved.
Right.
And
Did you design the app yourself, or was it just an app that you knew of that you guys kind of
no,
used?
I built it from scratch just for the show. So it's very tailored towards the experience. So
Mhm.
it's very seamless for the audience member to, log in.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, are you a programmer then? I take it.
Yeah.
Do you do that in your everyday job, IT stuff
Yeah,
like
that's
that?
what pays the bills.
Okay. See, then that's what I keep telling you, Tyson. You can't be holding on to these open mics. You got to go find an IT job or something. See, you got to be
serious.
like him.
Maybe
Yeah.
not IT anymore.
Well, yeah.
Find something a computer can't do, I would say right now.
What would you think that is?
Conscience.
Like what jobs would that be?
Yeah.
Like a plumber.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a good one. Yeah, trade jobs, stuff like that.
Anything that a machine can't do from the internet.
You know, that's fair.
Something that will work after an EMP.
It's coming straight from David.
Learn how to cut a 2x4 with your bare hands.
Yeah.
Learn what a tape measure is.
Yep. No,
Learn why the tape measure has that little thing at the top that jiggles a little bit and gives you a little bit extra space. Learning all that stuff, not how to code.
see the last one. I don't even think I know that one. I'm not sure why it has a little bit of
Tyson
jiggle on
doesn't
the
know
end of it.
either.
Yeah, I do. I absolutely know, but I'll let you take it from here. What is that?
Yeah, right.
I'm a
Tyson.
big construction guy. I know
Come
the
on.
wiggly part.
I'm happy though because I've actually gone out to the weekday shows when they were on the White Lane location.
Mm.
Great show,
Oh,
always
sweet.
a good time, and I'm happy to hear that it could be coming back soon.
Yeah, hopefully, man. Yeah, thanks for that too. That's
No,
cool
I
you've
know
seen it.
Betts is is trying to get everything back into a running routine, and moving locations. It's not as easy as just packing up and moving, especially in these older buildings downtown. But the $5 funnies, is that going to be more of a showcase where we have a certain amount of comedians every Friday, or is this going to be a random type thing?
I don't think right now, like you said, everything's starting to just come back online. It feels like, so the $5 funny things, it's not, as of now, as far as I know, it's not a recurring thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a great idea. But this is the first one back, so
Right on.
I think depending on how well it goes, we'll see what happens after that. But they're always a good show. It's always worth your small investment.
There's so much great comedy in this town, and if you haven't gone out, I mean, I would go to thewellcomedyclub.com, check out that calendar. Find these comedians on their Instagram, check out, because there's always shows going on. I know we've talked to you guys on Mondays about the Make You Laugh Mondays out at Firehouse. Anthony comes in and pumps up the Thursday night open mics over at the Well. And it's just awesome to get all these back into routine. And everybody says there's nothing to do in this town. And it's not expensive. Go check out, go support your local comedians, man.
And do we have a ideal date for when the weekday show might be starting again, or?
I don't want to give an exact date because I don't know yet. I don't want to be wrong.
Fair enough.
But it's more than likely going to be on a Wednesday, and we're hoping within the next month.
Fantastic.
So
okay.
keep an eye out.
Yeah, just look out on that on the thewellcomedyclub.com. Most likely have all of that for you.
For sure.
Trying to think of other questions we can ask about your background with all this. Where
Social Security?
Well, no, not that far.
Okay.
What do you think about gas prices?
Exactly. So you got started how long ago?
Beginning of 2023.
2023. So you've been at this for a couple years now.
Yeah.
Is there like an ideal, or not an ideal, I'm sorry, a dream location you'd love to have a set at?
Not really. I mean, it would just be nice to find people that find me funny and I can go anywhere.
True.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's cool clubs, obviously. I mean, it'd be cool to perform at any of the big names, but hey, man, I love the Well Comedy Club.
Right.
He wants that too. That weekday show.
Tell Dan Betts how much I love that club. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
And Tyson, we haven't seen you in a while. I know, just following you on Instagram and stuff. You've been down in LA a lot.
Oh yeah. I try to play down there as much as possible.
The Comedy Store is one of my favorite places. I finally got to scratch it off, my bucket list. But I'm also trying to get down to the Improv.
Oh yeah, just right down the road there. And there's the Laugh Factory right there as well. So
yes, that too.
Check them all out.
Well, I mean, just as a fan of comedy, talking to a comedian, I mean, what is the difference between those three?
Wow. Well, they're all gonna have killers. And if you don't know who's the headliner, which
it's usually the best part.
You're gonna be surprised. You know what I mean? You're gonna be a lifelong fan probably because they're always gonna have someone great there. That's the Hollywood. All the comedy clubs right there are the first ones ever. And so the Comedy Store is going to have 3 different rooms, whereas the Improv has 2 in like a smaller room. And same thing with the Laugh Factory. It has a couple rooms, but I've had a good time at every venue that I've been to. I don't really nitpick like what I didn't like about it. It's just when you're there and you're kind of just submerged in that space of comedy,
right?
I mean, you never have a bad time. I haven't. And then sometimes when I'm alone, because I fly solo up there, sometimes I'll bring groups of guys, but I get lucky. I find like the comedy gods just kind of bless me with some, I don't know. I find myself in like the back rooms with some comics sometimes and just kicking in areas I wouldn't get into. But it's always a good experience running out there. I'll tell you that much.
That's the best part about comedy. I mean, I always tell people that haven't gone out, I don't know who that headliner is. It doesn't matter if you don't know the name because they're there for a reason. They're, most of the shows I've gone to, I leave finding 2 or 3 other comedians that open the show that I thought were funnier than the headliner.
Yep.
So it's always a good thing with comedy and all these. I mean, a lot of them here and locally. I mean, look at all these open mics that are popping up.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are killing it out at Firehouse on Mondays.
Yes,
Trevor was telling us last week, what was it, 25, 30 comedians he was talking about?
Yeah.
What can we expect to tonight? And for somebody that hasn't gone out to Firehouse for Make You Laugh Mondays.
If you haven't been out, you're missing a good time. That's for sure. Because it's always going to be a fun time. I can't tell you what's in store on Monday because it's always going to be different. It's going to be fun. Yeah. We might be hoisting babies up in the air. I don't know. We might be taking I don't know, prescribed
what you got out of that?
promethazine. I was prescribed. Yeah, that's what I thought we were talking about. Okay. Oh,
That was a burger.
So listen.
I don't know. You got a baby out of that.
I don't know what symbols you do. To me, you were grabbing a baby by its head and kissing the baby on the head, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good point." I did have a baby in my hands at one point. Some adult gave me their child, and yeah, I did kiss him on the head in that very same way. But there are also burgers. Yes, we do have a good burger deal.
Burgers and babies.
Nonstop, and beer.
Why am I just picturing you holding a baby up like Rafiki and just people
exactly
chanting? I know.
I have a picture I'll show you.
Yeah.
I did have that baby. The only thing I didn't do is hit it with the symbol on the forehead because it was crying, and the parents were like, "What are you doing to my kid?" And I was like, "Okay, here's it." Yeah.
Strangely, though, I should probably add that kid has not been seen since that night.
Yeah,
I know,
right?
isn't that crazy? Oh wow, yeah, I did see him on a milk carton.
Oh Lord!
But he'll be all right. His parents shouldn't have given him to the open mic host.
But that won't happen to you. Come out to Made You Laugh Mondays. I promise your kids will be fine.
I promise.
What else has been going on, man? I mean, I know that you guys have a whole ton going on Mondays. Are you guys going to be jumping in with the well or on stage at the well anytime soon as well?
Yeah, Trevor. What did Trevor do? Trevor's going to be on the $5 funnies. Trevor just recently was on another show there at the well. And my goodness, I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. We've been staying in contact. They've got a mic that's going to open up on one of the nights that week, and then we're going to fill it in. Made You Laugh Mondays or EFIS or whatever. There's going to be a couple guys that are going to host another show throughout the week. I think it's good to have a lot of opportunities to go to an open mic, as well as having it in different pockets of the city or county or whatever, because we've gotten a lot of guests that hadn't heard about the Well Comedy Club, which is crazy to me. If there's people in Rosedale at the Made You Laugh Mondays, I feel like they should have known about the Well for years, but we are definitely spreading the word. And I feel like once the Well gets traction, it's going to be more of an exclusive event instead of you hearing that there's, a cheap show on a Friday night. It's going to be like, how come I can't get into the $40 show on Friday night? Because it's just going to be,
yeah, it's going to be so jam packed.
It's going to be something big in town. So,
I agree.
Or in the Valley, I should say.
100%.
100%. Right on the corner.
Shifting over to a little bit of sports here. Obviously, baseball season has started.
Yeah.
You must be excited.
Absolutely. I've been waiting to see Edwin Diaz come out with that trumpet since he left New York.
Lame.
No,
dude. It was lame as hell.
Beautiful.
We all know it's not Tommy. It's not the same, dude.
I know.
It's not the same.
I can see you guys feeling that way.
It was lame as hell. I'm sorry. I'm not even a Mets fan, but I'll sit there and say it didn't hit the same.
It didn't hit for you
Without
guys,
Tommy on there, it does not hit the same.
I had envisioned it. Once I found out he got traded, I was like, I can't wait. And
I did too.
Fail.
Don't get me wrong. I thought for sure if there was one other stadium that was going to make that a thing and just have some energy to that entrance, it was going to be Dodger Stadium. But I'm not going to lie to you, without the initial trumpet player, it doesn't hit the same.
Doesn't feel the same, huh?
It just doesn't. I'm sorry. Or maybe I'm just a Dodger hater. Who knows?
I know that to be true. That's what I was sitting here waiting for you to be honest about. So, that's
again, it's hard to be, it's hard to love a team that's thwarted mine from winning a championship for a long time here. So
I guess that's fair.
My Phils need at least one shot.
Hey, some good postseason series between those two.
Oh, yeah.
It's always a good time.
And usually we beat you, but for some reason, you guys signed somebody named Shohei, and now nobody can beat you.
That's true.
It's
or we'll
absolutely
take
unfair.
your guys. And we take Chase Utley from you. Remember, we'll take guys from you.
I know. Trust me. I know.
That one looked like it hurt.
No, that one hurts a lot,
still,
especially when you hear about the struggles between Chase Utley and the Mets, and they always show for some reason that one series when the Dodgers played them and he ran into the second baseman. It's like, do you not remember the years upon years where this man almost fist fought the Mets at second base when he was a Philly? It's like, God, it annoys me that he gets more credit for being a Dodger than he does for being a Philly these days. It really just irks me.
Well, remind our listeners, what time is Make You Laugh Monday? Where do they go if they want to test it out?
Yeah, it's going to be at the Rosedale station, which is on Rosedale and Callaway. It's that firehouse for now. It's upstairs. If you guys have ever been inside there, you guys have probably looked upstairs and saw a badass little venue up there. And you guys are probably like, oh, that's a private event. And no, you guys go up there for free. It's a good time. We'll all be up there. Welcome you. Grab a beer, grab a burger, kiss a baby on the forehead.
I was just there on Friday too because my buddy came in town, and they have a whole bunch of stuff put up for you guys too.
Oh yeah, we got our own little signage up there. Everybody there has been really welcoming. All the staff there is really kind. The management, they're amazing people. They welcome us when we come in there, even though we're a bunch of hooligans, you know, they have patience for us and they let us kind of do our thing upstairs.
So if somebody wants to try it out,
oh yeah,
you know, how do they do it?
You can reach out to me at Tyson Hayes Instagram or Made You Laugh Mondays, one word, and then just reach out to us and we'll make sure something will happen. Or get there before 6:30. Come chat with me or Trevor. He's going to be sitting by the speakers, if you will. And
we were told though, don't bother Trevor when he's making his
you don't
playlist.
do that.
You don't do that.
You don't do that. You know,
He gets
How about
very
just
angry.
don't bother Trevor.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's a
See,
yeah.
that's what. But see, he claims you can bother him, but then in the same sentence said, "Unless I'm doing my playlist, and then leave me alone."
I guess
very
he's
serious about his
always
music.
doing a playlist, if that might be because
Yeah.
just never bother him. Just assume he's doing a playlist if you bump into him at Walmart.
And if people are wondering how long are the sets per person?
Yeah, 5 minutes. You're gonna get your 5 minutes, and sometimes we do some fun stuff, you know, where we get some crowd interaction.
Yeah,
the guys are gonna do their time that they had, and then you know, get some improv. You know, some guys will throw out cool little lines, and then it's cool to watch them just kind of the gears kind of turn, and then boom, and they try to hit you with something funny, and it's cool when it works because everybody in the audience knows this is fresh off of their head. It's kind of like some freestyle rap stuff, you know, and it just makes it that much more fun.
absolutely.
And
So you guys
engaging.
are on social media, Make You Laugh Monday, Tyson Hayes. And what's your handle? Is it God's Father?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic,
Check
gentlemen.
it out.
Thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
we
yeah.
appreciate you as always, and we'll talk to. No, I'm sorry. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
2
'cause
weeks.
Trevor will be back next.
Trevor
week,
next
right?
week with Anthony Rivers. He's going to have a roast battle coming up soon. So you'll see David May on
fantastic.
Friday
Yep.
at $5 funnies.
Yep, and then the weekday show will be coming back at some point as well,
Some
right?
point. Hang in there.
Well, as soon as it comes out, we'll get you back on and we'll
Yes.
continue to pump that
regularly.
up.
Sweet.
Cool.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate you guys so much. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Want to thank Tyson and Major Laugh Mondays for coming in today. Go follow him and his fantastic guest, David, on Instagram. Oh, God. Do you remember his?
Godfather.
Godfather. Thank you. I was about to say, I was like, I remember Tyson's. I can't remember his.
If you haven't seen David May before, man, he is hilarious. And I'm glad they're bringing back the weekday show because the first time I went, I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Blame Tyson, too, because apparently there was a whole story that he wanted to talk about of David at PBR, but didn't tell me he wanted to talk about this before the segment started. And then afterwards, he's like, oh, I wanted to bring this up. I said, Tyson, I can't read your mind, my friend. I got to know these things. I don't know that. And I like you said, I told David as soon as they know what day the weekday show will be coming to let us know, and we'll have him and his host or his co-host on the show at the same time, and we will talk all about the weekday show and all of that and pump it up for him as well. I know we got some text messages we want to get to, and I want to get to this rugby stuff too as well, because I want to throw some of this at you because it actually is in a pretty interesting state right now of reform, as they're trying to essentially make a world rugby league and include America. They want America in on this because they realize that's where a lot of the money comes from in sports.
Money.
It really does. But what we got on the text board real quick?
It says, I love the idea of replacing the All-Star game, 8-day tournament, 8 teams, USA, Mexico, Canada, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Italy, Panama, youth club teams. And I hate to strut around like a Dodger fan, but I will. Will Smith was on the US WBC team, and he's off to a hot start.
He's the only one that I can think of off top that's off to a hot start. Maybe Roman Anthony, but I have to look at what Roman's done since game 1. I know Roman had a 3-for-4 starting. Pete Crow Armstrong has been off and on, but he also got paid, so I don't think he really gives a damn at this point if he's playing good.
I think Cal's got 1 hit in 4 games.
Bryce hasn't looked great either, but Bryce didn't look great during the tournament, so I kind of saw this coming. Again, I just need to do a little bit of a deep dive. I hope it's not a real thing, but I'm telling you, I know that's going to become a talking point with MLB teams if their star players start playing like absolute garbage after they let them play in the WBC.
Another text said, a big shout out to Dionysus. That new Mexicali beer is yummy.
I can't wait to try that.
The last one says, also as a Dodger fan, I do have to show appreciation for Padre closer Miller coming out of the bullpen to Corn's blind.
Stud. Absolute stud. But again, it's the Padres, and they'll find something. It's like the Mets, man. You guys will find some way to screw this up. You really will. Just trade Fernando away at this point. So we could actually win a championship with him. That's where he needs to be. That's where I can see him in red pinstripes now. Anyways, back to what we need to do. Is that all we got on the text board?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's run this down. Big shout out to BB Gun 13 on TikTok as well. And I want to float this out to you guys. If there's any stories or anything that you want us to cover, feel free, reach out to us on Instagram or TikTok. We will reach out to either myself or Sparky, and we'll let you know if we can cover whatever you guys want us to cover in the world of sports, no matter how wacky the story may be. And yes, I did get one text message as well that we'll probably get into about that the amputee that shot and killed somebody, then drove off in his car. He was a former Olympian or something of that nature. I didn't really want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, but it was a very wacky story, and I got asked if we want to talk about that. So maybe at some point when more information comes out on all that. But as of right now, BB wanted us to look into the world of rugby and how much it's changing, because it is in the middle of a reform era, if you will. And I'll throw this at you, my friend, just because there are some certain things that they are running into that they have the similar issues, or they have similar issues, I should say, as football, because player welfare is a big part of why it is having some issues at the moment. But from what I understand in the world of rugby right now, it's going through a massive reform, including what it's all pivoting around, which is what's going to be known as the Nations Championship, which is supposed to launch in 2026. It's essentially bringing multiple teams from across the nation, or across the world, in different nations, I should say, into one central professional rugby league of competition. That is to increase commercial value, obviously, increase money flow, and overall just get some consistent high-level matchups, some consistent high-level competition throughout. and get more eyes on the product, essentially, which is the big thing here that they're trying to do, because they want to pull in more countries, more people, expand this league as big as humanly possible, and get more people playing rugby. Problems with this right now, though, is that rugby itself is kind of running into some financial issues at club levels and player welfare issues, as they're running into the same issues that the NFL is running into, which is the lack of protection for concussions. Now, rugby is a little different, in my opinion, than football. It's much rougher. You don't have any pads. You never will. Mind you, they're never going to just have a day where they're going to start wearing helmets at these games. But it is also hitting that point and saying, you kind of know what you sign up for, or you should if you've been playing this game long enough. Concussions would kind of come with the territory here, much like we were talking about with Cam Scatabo the other day. CTE is part of football. You can't really sit there and say that it doesn't exist.
So you don't think if they make this say a national league, that they wouldn't have to
What do you mean?
change up the gear?
Oh, no. I think that there will be conversations about it, but they're not going to want to change the game as it's fundamentally set. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking that rugby will never hit a day where we're going to see them in football helmets. Maybe leather padded helmets.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Like skull caps. Absolutely. I think that will be be talked about, especially if they continue to run into some legal issues when it comes to a lot of this stuff. But they're attempting to expand this. They also want to expand into the women's side of it, which is a growing institution for rugby, I suppose, from what I understand. Again, don't follow it that closely. As much information as I'll give you, I'll be able to feed. But women's rugby is growing, especially in the Asian countries. So they're trying to grow that and trying to get more people involved in this. But right now, from what I can tell, it is coming to America in sense of it'll be obviously at the Olympics in 2028. And from what I understand is that America is scheduled to join the nation's championship sometime in 2030 to 2031. When it launches, the championship will only be the 6 nations of Europe, the rugby championship, which is a lot of the Southern Hemisphere, and then Japan and Fiji and a lot of other teams sprinkled around the countries. But it could be a growing sport here in America in the next 4 or 5 years. We could be seeing a professional rugby team here, locally. You never know. Really depends on where they want to set their feet and what cities will be willing to bring on a professional rugby team. And maybe that means we'll be getting rugby in college sports. You'll be seeing that more on television. We're talking about lacrosse with our guy Chris Orr and the growth of that. I think this is just another avenue for sports, another avenue for athletes to be successful in whatever sport they choose, and more avenues for some of these colleges to make money. Because let's be honest, if there's one country that's going to embrace rugby, it's probably us. It's most likely America. Do we have somebody on the phone, my friend, or is it Snacks waiting to
We got our boy Snacks. If you want to jump into some basketball, we can take our break afterwards.
Yeah, let's throw in Snacks right now and let's talk about this. My friend, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How's everyone?
We are well. We are well today. Real quick, really, the NBA and the March Madness tournament obviously have been the central talking points for the last couple days. And I don't mean to just jump into this with you, but we've talked about the tanking situation with the NBA, and they have now come out with 3 different proposals that they are hoping are going to combat this. I'm going to read off all 3 of them to both of you guys, and I just want you guys to get, to say your pieces about each of them. The first one is known as the 18-team lottery. It includes the 10 worst teams plus 8 play-in teams, and they all have equal odds for the bottom 10. There's the 22-team lottery, which adds the first-round playoff losers and uses 2-year records similar to the WNBA to determine the odds with minimum wins thresholds to discourage teams from losing. And then there's the 5x5 system, which is the worst 5 teams get equal odds for the top picks with protections to prevent them from dropping too far in the draft order itself. Do you think any of these are going to help with the tanking problem?
The fact we have to come up with a policy for people just not to even play hard is crazy.
Right.
the third one sounds like the most logical one, I guess. With the five, you said 5 teams, and
Yeah, the worst 5 teams get equal odds for the top pick with protections to prevent them from dropping too far in the draft order.
yeah, that one just makes more sense for me. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that makes more sense to me. I just, again, this is all crazy to me that we even have to do this.
Exactly.
And like in sports and competition, like you're getting paid to go compete, and you're just we're just gonna flop this year. We don't have a chance. We got a bunch of rookies, so we're just gonna just. You're in the league now. Go ball out.
Yeah, you're supposed to be professional, competitive athletes. I still think it's crazy. I think putting some time. I mean, that's a lot of work that they're putting into a small policy to address tanking. I personally think we got it right. I think we just, they're so tournament happy. Everyone loves tournaments. I just think maybe a little sprinkle of that first part of, the 2 teams that get eliminated, maybe the play-in teams that get eliminated. But I personally think if we're so tournament happy, why don't we just have a bracket for the lottery, a lottery bracket? But I also wanted to bring up the deal with Mark Cuban came out of, shortening games from 48 to 40 instead of messing with the 82 to 65 and 65 to 60 or whatever.
10-minute quarters instead of
12. He said, take 2 minutes off a quarter. That will equal out at the end of the season, a shortened season of 13 or 14 games, but you don't mess with the integrity of 82 games. And I know we're all basketball fans in different generations, but I wanted to think or ask you guys, what do you think of that instead of cutting it down from 82 to 65, maybe just cutting the length of each game?
My thing is what is different about basketball now that it was back then?
Right.
More money.
So, because the competitive side to me at all levels aren't the same. I think we all can agree that the competitive side of all sports, even in football, it was way more violent than it is now. And also, I think we've spoken this many times before. These athletes have way more nutritional setups, doctors they can go to, things to help them heal faster. So what are we talking about? Like, just go out there and play and stop. You're getting paid millions. Now, I'm not saying you're still not human. But guys, what are we talking about? We would, 3 of us, whatever favorite sport we're good at, would love to be in our favorite sport and go out and play just for the passion of it and not complain about it. So what are we talking? Like, what is going?
Well, that's the difference now, though.
He's right.
You're absolutely right, and that's kind of the issue that I've had with it, and you've already highlighted it. But it's the lack of competition because these guys don't really need to compete with each other anymore to make the money they're making. We're getting guys who are getting max contracts that don't deserve max contracts. Let's be honest. They're getting it just solely because that's the best player on that team at the time. But certain players should not be getting the money they're getting paid.
Which goes to show how, I'm sorry to interrupt, but which goes to show how good these athletes are in their particular sport. Because you'll have these guys sit out a whole year with all these different injuries named, and then they'll come back 1 year and have the greatest year of their life just because they're on their contract year.
Right.
And then after they get this max contract, we don't hear from them 2 years. So they might want to start thinking about something like how are we handling injured athletes sitting out? I don't care a team tanking. Okay, well, your team's bad. 8 out of the 12 of your players are all rookies or within the first 3 years of their career. Okay, cool. But what are we doing with the athletes that's constantly sitting out? Like, what are we doing?
I'm telling you, it's a level of comfortability. It's when they get the money, they no longer have to work as hard to actually get that money because they're already getting paid it. It just...
So is it more personality or like the integrity of the game instead of quit tinkering with everything?
I think it's genuinely more personality based because you see it across all sports. We talk about it in football all the time. When somebody gets paid the big contract and they never have a good season again, it's because they get so comfortable and believe I don't need to work that hard anymore because I get paid like I work hard. And maybe you're right. Maybe there needs to be more incentive-based pay in sports, or we get like a front-loaded contract now, so all of the back end of it is they don't get paid as much, which drives them harder. But realistically speaking, it's got to be the comfortability part of it, and just the personalities of a lot of these guys now are go get the bag and then relax for the rest of your life, because that really is what it is at the end of the day. Is these guys just want the bag, so they don't have to really worry about the rest of it.
Like, these are the questions that reporters should be asking in post game. Hey, why don't y'all play hard? Like, why don't y'all care? like, why do y'all even go through all this? But I think it was a long time ago where I heard Kevin Garnett on his podcast with Paul Pierce say a lot of these players don't even care if they make it to the NBA championship. Like, they there to get the bag for a few amount of years and then go about their lives. I'm like, this is wild to me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these guys really don't play for the same reasons that guys like Michael or Shaq or Kobe or any of those guys played. Like, they're playing to secure the bag. And they realize, because they've been told their entire lives, that they're so talented at this specific thing that if they're good enough, they get paid millions upon millions of dollars to just do that.
That's what makes it so wild to me is, they're dealing with this issue like they're like the tanking, or they're not getting enough competitiveness out of these high costed players, and at the same time they're talking to other businesses expanding the NBA. So there's one fight to cut time out of the season, and then there's the other fight is to bring in 2 more teams. I mean, how does this make sense where you're trying to fight where teams aren't playing enough, and then there's the other fight is, let's bring in 2 more teams?
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I just, it's weird. I get the NBA wants to expand and wants to make more money, but you got to figure out the competition problem, man. Because if you don't, no one's going to want to watch the product eventually.
Yeah, and tanking is just not a 1-year thing. Like, you don't tank just 1 year. Like, it's gonna, like, this is a work in progress. So, yes, you go get the number 1 draft pick. Well, you still got to build around this number 1 draft pick. You're just not going to be good for next year. That's just very rare that happens. So, like, you still have to go. At the end of the day, you have to go out and compete, no matter what. And that's all fans are asking for. We don't care what you do with your trades, and you're making as much money. Please just go compete.
Right. So, at the end of the day, though, these 3 proposals by the NBA probably not going to fix the tanking problem. You don't think?
No, I don't see it fixing any of it. Like, I think you just got to come down with it. You think you're fine. Your organization or your franchise is fine this much money, and just like anything, like when people start losing money, they really start paying attention. But as long as they get to keep their money, and all these other little minor policies, okay, cool, that's fine with us.
Yeah, they don't care.
Start taking money out of people's pockets, you'll see a quick change and a swift change immediately.
Oh yeah. Once the money starts talking, that's when everything gets changed. You're absolutely right.
You start saying, okay, after 7, unless you got an Achilles injury or something that really sits you out a season into injury, like sprains or whatnot, okay, we give you 5 to 7 games. After 7 games, we ain't paying you.
Mm.
Watch how fast people recover from a sprained ankle.
You start messing with their money, yeah.
Well, or it could just be like anybody else's job. You're gone for multiple days. You need a doctor's note to prove that we need to keep paying you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you got to prove
1 or 2 doctor notes to say, yep, okay, we just. But the problem with that is Kawhi did that, where the team doctor was saying that Kawhi is 100%.
No, not the team doctor. We don't need to hear from the team doctor. You got to go get an outside doctor. You got to go see a specialist. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to hear from the team doctor. Of course, the team doctor is going to sit there and say whatever the team wants him to say.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to hear from the team doctor. Shifting over real quick, though, my friend, March Madness, obviously the Elite Eight was this weekend. Your thoughts on the game? Did you get to check out Duke and UConn yesterday?
March Madness. This is why we love March Madness.
Dude, that was one of the best college basketball games I've seen in a long time. And for it to end on a freshman from the logo, I can't get over that. That's so good.
I told you last week that Duke was vulnerable.
Yes.
I said Duke is vulnerable. They're going to end up losing to one of these teams by the end of the weekend, and here we are. It had in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But what an incredible! You can't ask for that. Again, competing.
Yep. Competition, and it really does start at the college level too. I brought this up to Sparky though before we shift off of Duke. Do you think Duke really needs to sit down and start talking to a lot of these young athletes and saying, "Hey, we need you here for more than a year"? Because I feel like that's what Duke's problem is they've really become the one and done school. They have all these incredible generational talents at basketball, but they're only there for a year and they dip. Imagine if this team had Cooper Flag on it. You know what I mean? Like Cooper and the Boozer twins, they easily would have ran this tournament, but they can't seem to keep these guys there long term. Do you think that Duke really needs to sit down, especially with the coaching staff, and say, you need to start having these kids, or at least convincing these kids to stay longer?
Yeah, but on the flip side, because I totally agree with you, because certain schools have always been the one and done schools, wherever Calipari is, wherever, Coach K was, Roy Williams at the time. Like you were going to those schools because you knew you were going to be one and done. So that means they would just have to come up with more money to keep those players. I mean, because those kids know they're not really coming there they'll tell you, I'm only coming here. Jason Tatum said that I'm only playing 1 year. So wherever I go, enjoy your time. Enjoy your.
And I get that because there are players like Jason and Kyrie, but there's also players like Zion. Like, imagine if Zion stayed more than a year and actually, grew as a basketball player. I feel like we'd be seeing a completely different Zion Williamson now than we are currently.
Yeah, and again, I totally agree with you. Like you're preaching to the choir here, but it's when you start talking marketing and branding outside of the game and what the NBA can do for you and overseas, now you can possibly. Only thing that's been holding Zion back is his injury.
Right,
like he can't stay on the court long enough. Imagine if he actually stayed healthy, we wouldn't have him in this conversation. But again, I totally agree, but I just don't know how you keep them longer when those blue blood programs are built just to be one and done.
True. I mean, again, I feel like NIL might be a good way to do it, though. I mean, you could just convince them that they can make just as much money at Duke than they do at the NBA level. But I also think, like, going back to my Zion point, true that a lot of his problems have been injury, but a lot of his problems have been weight too. And if he would have stayed with Coach K and Coach K would have gotten a full season or two with him and taught him a nutrition plan and how to actually manage his weight, he may not have the injuries he has today. You know what I mean? That's why I'm just like, I feel like if Duke especially could figure out how to keep some of these generational talents there for at least 2 years, they could get back to the relevancy that they once were, rather than just riding off of, the past successes of Coach K.
But I also don't think it's a money thing with college anymore, with keeping these players. A lot of these players just don't want to do the school side of it. Now, granted, players of that nature, are they really doing school? That's left in the air to know. Now, me as an athlete, I actually had to go to class, but I was at a Division II school. Mm-hmm. Somebody of Zion Williams or Coop, probably, we know y'all going to be here 1 year. We're just going to pass you on. Again, that's each athlete. Everybody's different, but I think a lot of those run off to the league is because they just don't want to do the school portion anymore. And when you go around the NBA franchise, it's so much more relaxed. The practices are they're not as near as intense as college practice is. Mm. You do your own workouts, you show up when you need to. It's really more about you. Mm-hmm. So I mean, maybe I'm not saying get rid of the classes, but I think that's why most of these student athletes of that caliber are running off to the league, because they just don't want to do the school portion of it. It's not with NIL. It can no longer be about the money. And a lot of kids are doing classes online and not even giving a college experience. So that lets you know alone they don't really want to be at the school.
True.
I'm here to play basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just here to play basketball. I'm just here to use you because you're playing. If I got 6 games this week, 4 of my games are on TV. There's no way a scout can't see me.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's something we've talked about. Sooner or later, that NIL money is going to dry up if they continue to allow players to play 1 year, whether it's basketball, football, whatever. And the other side of that coin is the transfer.
Mm-hmm. And they're trying to tighten up the transfer situation.
Why would somebody want to put money into to benefit this team when they know that MVP of that team is moving after next year, whether it's to a different team or just professional.
I know we don't have nearly enough time to break down the whole transfer situation or what they're trying to do with it, but the idea that I keep hearing is they allow one transfer essentially for every 2 to 3 years, just solely so they can make sure that these guys at least graduate from the college they're at. Because Calipari's made a good point that these guys who transfer 2 to 3 times by the end of their college career, they're not getting a college degree. They're not transferring. There's no way you've transferred, or there's no way you've graduated because you don't have the credits.
No, at all. And I don't think with football it's only one transfer. There used to be 2 portals.
Yes,
it's only one portal now.
Yeah,
which is keeping kids. But even once the portal opened back up, they're flying back into the portal. But the sucky thing about the portal is, when I was talking to one of my friends, our basketball coach, he's like, man, so many kids that get left in the portal.
Yep.
and I don't know if that's going to start slowing some of these student athletes down from, jumping so fast. I still think they have a long way to go to handle this whole NIL situation. But the deeper problem is a lot of these boosters are going to stop giving money.
Exactly.
Yep. I mean, we've seen it with, who was it, Elway, or was it
Aikman?
Yeah.
Troy Aikman, exactly, was the first one to sit there and say, I'm not doing it anymore. I will not give money to another one of these athletes just for them to leave again. It's honestly the right move too, because you shouldn't be just throwing your pocketbook at these kids to convince them to go to your college. You really should not be doing that in the first place.
And all the money is going to the football programs, and so it leaves the other programs at the schools and in a halt, because
we can get into a long conversation about that, my friend.
Because that just brought in the rugby.
Yep, the rugby, the wrestling, and all that. Like, trust me, there's a lot that we can get into with that. We don't nearly have enough time for that, unfortunately. Real quick before we let you go, Final Fours: Arizona, Michigan, UConn, and Illinois. Who you got winning?
Michigan's
winning the whole thing.
I'm not alone.
See, I got Arizona. I'm telling you, I agree. Whoever makes it out of that 1 seed matchup most likely wins the national championship. But I just feel like Arizona's offense is a little bit higher for ceiling.
Anyone but UConn, I'll be happy. So,
see, I'd love Dan Hurley though. I don't know. I love Coach Hurley. It'd be great to see him win another championship.
But we can talk. I mean, next week while we talk, we'll have the national championship that day. Plus, we're getting inching closer and closer to the NBA playoffs. So we'll get into that again next week. Snacks, we appreciate your time, brother.
Always, man. It's always fun. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. We got to take a break. We'll get into some small we're not going to take a break. We're going straight through.
For that.
Oh.
We ain't got no time for that.
Well, my fault. I thought we were going to take a break.
Tonight,
if not, I would have kept
it. Madison Square Garden, WWE Raw.
I'm calling it now. Braun Breaker returns tonight.
You think so?
Braun Breaker returns tonight.
So, man. That'd
Spears
be cool.
the ever-living crap out of Seth Rollins to end the show. And then we're going to be building a Braun Breaker against Seth Rollins match for WrestleMania. I genuinely believe that's the way.
We've got 5 matches scheduled. We've got Nia and Lash against Bailey and Lyra. We get the Vision versus the Usos. Penta is doing, he's going to keep up the challenge for the title. And there's a lot of rumors saying that they believe it is going to be Kofi tonight against Penta. I don't know if that's true, but then we get Io and Raquel, which I'm looking forward to.
That's going to be a great match.
And then Finn is scheduled to be out there talk a little Judgment
Since
Day.
I have 2 or 3 minutes here to air my grievances, though.
Do it.
Justice for my boy Carmelo. What is going on?
What the hell?
Why? Why? We don't need Sami Zayn.
No.
I am so over the Sami Zayn snap. I know, again, most of you that don't listen to wrestling or watch wrestling don't want to listen to us talk about it. But you know what? You're going to hear it because this man, all they're doing is appeasing the TKO people. That's all it is. That's all this is to me. I love Sami Zayn as a character. Don't get me wrong.
I don't.
But I am so over him just being given titles and given title shots as if he's any better than anybody else on this roster. He's not.
And Melo was perfect, dude.
Melo was doing such a great job with that belt. And now that we're probably not going to see him at WrestleMania, and maybe it's because the rumor I hear around the interwebs is it's honeymoon season for him and Kaylani. I totally understand that. But there ain't no way in hell Carmelo Hayes is choosing his honeymoon over WrestleMania right now. I just don't see that as the case. I don't. Now, if you give us a 4-way and you give us Mello, Ilya, Sammy, and Trick, all for that 110%. But justice for my boy Mello, because I was so angry on Friday watching that show.
So was I.
Watching
And-
him lose that belt was wrong.
And I think you were right with the was it 4-way, 8-way, whatever for the women's, because that looks like it's just setting up for it.
And again, the quicker we get the Bellas out of here, the better.
Please, quick.
And honestly, I'm in the same boat with these tag teams that'll be going up against them as well. I love it. We can keep Lash and Nia. That's fine. They're fantastic together. But the allies of convenience, we could separate Charlotte and Alexa now. Bailey and Lyra, we can definitely separate those two. I'm over it. I like this match. That's why I'm hoping it. And again, no disrespect to the women. They're all incredible athletes, incredible wrestlers. I just don't feel the chemistry here. I don't feel that this match needs to be on the WrestleMania card. I know it will, to give WrestleMania a little bit more of a mix of tag looks here. But this one you could leave on the cutting room floor. This could be a Friday before WrestleMania match. It really doesn't need to be on the card Saturday or Sunday. It probably will make it, though, just solely because they need to have some sort of representation for the tag team division on the women's side on that card. God, I really hope Charlotte and Alexa pull some crazy stuff off, though, because that's the only way this match is actually going to look good. It really is.
We did have one more listener text in, says, "Where is Sol Ruka?"
Yeah, she's still in NXT right now. She's actually vying for the NXT Women's Championship, which I think they may give her one run with it, a short one, before they call her up. But she will be part of the main roster very, very soon. They're wrapping up essentially the splitting of her and her tag partner, and I think both of them are going to get a shot at the title. So we'll see, but it'll come very soon. Trust me, she's coming. I just don't think it's going to be until after WrestleMania. She'll probably be part of the call-ups along with Ethan Page. Wouldn't be surprised if Ricky Saints gets a call-up at 2. Maybe even Tony D'Angelo finally. And I love
Sooner or later it'll happen.
I love the story too that he shared on O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s podcast the other day. Him and Braun Breaker were initially supposed to be a tag team. What has been robbed from me as a wrestling fan never ceases to amaze me. Never. But we got to get out of here for the day. We appreciate all of you.
Tomorrow we've got 24KG. We'll recap Monday Night Raw. Plus we've got comedian Andrew Idell joining us at 8:30.
Absolutely. Plus a ton more in the world of sports and sports entertainment. But until then, enjoy your Monday. Go out there. Have a good day. Sparky, let's get out of here.